Computers have the edge on humans in so many different areas, but the most fun one is binary. Because how many numbers can you count up to using one hand? The answer to that is 5, right? Using our normal decimal system. But if we use binary, we can now count to 31 on just one hand, which has its own number of fun uses. My favourite being, if I ever need 17 of anything, so anyone that knows me, that's a trademark. So today I'm going to explain to you how binary works and how you can count with it. And I'll actually let you on a secret. Using 2 hands, you can actually count up to, instead of just 10, 1023, which is quite phenomenal. So binary is very simple. Let's start off with just decimals, what you're used to first, so that you can understand how this is going to translate. So at school, you probably will have remembered that you have the units column. So that's the numbers between 1 or 0 and 9, right? In the units column, and you go up through the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Easy. Once you reach 9, the next number is 10. And so we put a 1 in the tens column. So if you imagine this, you'd have a 1 and a 0, 10, right? And then for the next one, you put an extra 1 in your ones column. And then you keep going all the way up through the ones columns, and then you end up at 19. So a 1, 10, and 9 ones, 19. And then when you're done with that, the next number would go to 2 tens and no units, right? No ones. And every step we go up, each new number, once we reach the cap, we add another 1 in a new column, and that will add the next 10x. So we go from ones to tens, to hundreds, to thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, etc. You're familiar with this counting system. So the reason I've explained that is because binary works where we still have those place values, but rather than them being units, tens, hundreds, thousands, instead in binary we only count up to 2 in each column. So we have a 0 or a 1. So in your first column, I'm going to use my thumb as the first column, we've got nothing, that's nothing, or we've got 1. Now we've counted to 1, congratulations. But we can only be a 0 or a 1, so now we have to go to the next column, which is going to be the 2's column. So our next one is a 2's column, and we have no 1's. So now we've counted to 2. If we want to count to 3, we now add, we've got 1 in the 2's, and we add a 1. So we've got a 2 and a 1, that makes us 3. Now we've got no more to put in these 2 slots, so we have to go to the next columns, which is the 4. So we're going to have 1 4 and no 2's or 1's. And then 5 would be 1 4 and 1 1. And then we've got 6 is going to be 1 4 1 2 and no 1's. 7 1 4 1 2 1 1. And now we're at the cap of those 3 columns. We have to add a new column, the 8's. So then we put up an 8 and we drop the other fingers, and now we're at 8. Right? Oh, sorry, 8. And then 9, because we're adding 1, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and now we're out and we need a new column again. So we add the last one, this, our pinky, is 16. And 16 and 1, 17. And that's where we started off with. And you can keep going through. So then 17, drop this, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and so on, all the way up, right? So this is how binary works. But rather than tens, hundreds, thousands, we've now got 1's, 2's, well, 1's, 2's, 4's, 8's, 16's. And it's just, do you have a 16 or not? Is your 5th finger up? No, then you don't have 16, right? But if we have a 16 and an 8, that's 24, because 16 plus 8 gives us 24. If we have a 16, an 8, and a 1, that's 24 plus 1, 25, and so on. That's how binary works. It's really simple. And it's a much more efficient counting system for our hands, because you have the option of yes or no, right? And so rather than just counting to 5, you can get up to 31 in just one hand, which is pretty cool. And if you also include your toes in the decimal things, you can only get up to like 20, right? But in binary, you can get up to over 1 million. If you also want toes involved, which is kind of crazy. There you go. So why am I talking about this? For those of you who don't know me, I'm an entrepreneur, love doing business. And one of the key things when you're starting business is your ability to be resourceful without resources. So everyone has the same hand, right? But most people can only use it to count to 5. Whereas if you have a new system, you can also use it to count to 31. So find ways of being more resourceful and not necessarily requiring more resources. That's the message for today. Hope you learned something new. Have a great one. Peace.